it's good to be here. It's good to see you all here this morning. Those were some pictures. I don't know, maybe we even should show that again, give you a little perspective. Those are some pictures that I took. I had a really interesting June and July when I'm kind of pretty much a whirlwind trip through Central America and in the Caribbean a little bit. It started, I left at the end of June, visited Costa Rica and Guatemala all in 1 week's time. And then came back after that trip for 6 days and took a group of 8 students and Carrie Fear, one of the women who works here in the office, as another leader, to the Dominican Republic. And we were there for about 12 days. And it's just been an incredible experience. And I just want to tell you a little bit about a lot of those pictures that I took there. Were in Costa Rica and Guatemala, particularly. Back in the beginning of the year, near the beginning of the year, I got a call from the president of Students International. Now, Students International is the organization that we've been taking students to Dominican Republic and Guatemala with the last about 5 years. So I have a pretty good handle on the organization and stuff and the leadership there. But I got a call from the president. This guy, Dave Hansen, was just hired or brought on as president of Students International in January. And this guy is just a visionary, a fun guy, exciting guy, and just has tons of plans, and he just sees God doing wondrous things. And he called me up and he said, Vito, I want to put a vision tour together. He introduced himself to me and stuff, because I'm new president. I want to put this vision tour together, and I'm taking some pastors from around the nation who really don't know much about SI, and I'm taking them to Costa Rica and Guatemala on this vision tour. Now, the Students International has been working in Dominican Republic and Guatemala they've been working in Guatemala for about 10, 11, 12 years, something like that. And they opened up the Dominican Republic field 6 years ago. And he said, this is what he was telling me, he says, we're opening up a new field this year in Costa Rica, and we want to take these guys out and show them Costa Rica and Guatemala. We'd love for you to come along. And he says, you got a little bit of experience, you're a veteran, a little bit of Students International, SI, from here on we call it SI, okay? From SI, and he says, you're a veteran, and if you can just talk, a little bit about when these pastors ask questions, you got experience, you can tell them what it's like to take a team and that kind of thing. Would you be interested in doing something like that? So, oh man, are you kidding? I would love to do something like that, man. I'd be all over it. He goes, wait a minute, I'm not done. So we're gonna fly to Costa Rica, and he says, what we're gonna do while we're there is we're gonna be hiking in the rainforest to some indigenous tribes there that are still there. He says, in Costa Rica, he says, there's only about 6 indigenous peoples, Indians, that still live in Costa Rica, tribes of people. He says, and 2 of them are the Kaveka Indians and the Bree Indians. He says, what we're going to do is we're going to put backpacks on, and this is what he said. He said, whatever you bring on this trip, whatever you take on the plane, be ready to be willing to carry that in your backpack, because that's all you're going to have. You're going to carry it all in your backpack, and we're going to hike it all in, and that's just what it's going to be. So just be ready. We're going to hike in the rainforest up to a village and deliver food and medical supplies to these people in this village. Now, is that something that you think you'd like to do? I'm thinking, man, this guy doesn't know me. Man, this is great, man. I'd get all over it. He goes, wow, man, wait a minute, I'm not done. He says, I just want to give all these guys a taste of what it's like to take a team to Costa Rica, and we're just going to spend 1 day doing what a team would be doing for maybe a week and a half or something. He said, then we're going to go on an excursion. Now, what Students International does is when we take students to DR and Guatemala and stuff, we'll spend about a week and a half after orientation working in the ministry sites. But we'll take one of the Saturdays as an excursion day, sort of like a respite day. We'll go visit some sites. In the Dominican Republic, we visit a waterfall. It's really cool. We get to jump through the waterfall. It's a big old pool of water. You can spend some hours there. It's a really neat time of relaxing, enjoying the scenery kind of thing. And he says, in Costa Rica, he says the excursion, we're going to take all these guys on the ministry site one day, then we're going to take them on the excursion the next day, so you get a taste of what we do with students. He says, in the excursion to Guatemala, he says, I don't know if you've ever done this before, if you're willing to do it, he said, we're going whitewater rafting and down to the jungle. This is where they filmed, I just learned this, they filmed the movie Congo. You ever seen Congo, the movie Congo? Maybe some of you have. They filmed Congo along this riverbank here, so it's got whitewater raft. Man, that's something you think you'd want to do. Man, are you kidding me? I'm all over that, man. That sounds awesome. I love the whitewater raft in Costa Rica. He goes, wait a minute, I'm not done yet. We're going to Guatemala. We're going to spend 3 days in Costa Rica, then we're going to fly to Guatemala, and we're going to spend 3 days there. And we're going to go visit ministry sites there and show the guys the ministry that we do in Guatemala. And one of the ministries there in Guatemala, Sandra, by the way, I wanted to tell you, they got your quilts in Guatemala just about 3 weeks before I got there. Sandra Bouquet, she almost a year ago put some quilts together, so that we want to send them somewhere. And I said, man, I know some people in Guatemala who just love them, and we sent them out with a camera. When I got there, I talked to the leader there, and he said, you know, man, I'm really sorry. He says, we just got the quilts about 2 weeks ago. So they got cut off here and there. He says, we just got them. Thank you so much. I said, so he says his thanks. Thank you so much for those quilts. He says, we're going to try to send those pictures back, by the way, as well. But there's a ministry there, and where these quilts are going to be going, actually. There's a ministry there that many of us are, I just said we would just adopt. I tell you, there's a hospital in Antigua, Guatemala that has handicapped, mentally and physically handicapped children through adults. And some of these children have been brought there, and adults have been brought there, and families they can't care for them, so they bring them here, and this hospital cares for them there. And some of the children, it's almost like halfway like an orphanage. And some of the children, a lot of them are just dumped there. And we just made there's just hundreds of people in this hospital and stuff. And that's where both the physical therapy, social work, and medical sites in Guatemala are held right here in this hospital for SI. And I tell you what, I have a low mercy gift. I'm merciful, but my mercy gift is pretty low on the scale. And I can work up some mercy for about an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes, and then I'm wasted for the day. I tell you what, this hospital would just take someone with a mercy and compassion gift, and you would just thrive. I couldn't help but think, and I'm being presumptuous here, just think that many of the women at our church, man, would just thrive working in the ministry here for a week or something. Just incredible. Anyway, we walked through this hospital, and I'll tell you, my heart was breaking through these people. There's nothing I could do about it. Anyway, that's one of the ministry sites we went to and stuff while we were there. He said, man, we're going to go through the hospital. Is that cool? Man, yeah, I can handle that. That'd be great. And he said, but then he said, the next day on the excursion, our excursion here in Guatemala, he says, we're going to climb a volcano. And it's an active volcano. It's Mount Pacaya. We do it all the time, man. It's really crazy. Would you be up for it? Oh, are you kidding, man? It'd be great. Is it active? Yeah. Will we be able to see lava? Yeah. Great, man. I'm all over it. Let's do it. I couldn't wait. So he had me, man. I just thought, I'm going. I got to experience this thing. This is going to be really cool. Again, we took off there, and we took off from Guatemala. Met these guys in LA on my way down. Went back to LA, flew back here to Omaha. 6 days later, I took a group to the Dominican Republic. The name of my talk this morning is, can you read that? You know what that says? Back up. There you go. Pura Vida. Pura Vida. You know what that means in Spanish? Literally, it means pure life. Pure life. That's what it means literally. Now, when we had a little bit of orientation in Costa Rica, when we got there, he says, you know what, this is what they say. This is what they say when they greet you. If you go up to somebody and say, hey, hola, or, como estás, whatever, their response usually is, pura vida. You know, it's all good. I mean, it's just a natural response. That's what they say. It's all good. Life is good. Things are great. You know, it's that kind of thing. That's what, so pura vida kind of capsulizes, right? Well, we were there for 2 days, and none of us guys really ever heard that term. So we kind of use it amongst ourselves a little bit. Hey guys, what's going on? Yeah, pura vida, man. Yeah, that kind of thing. So we kind of did it ourselves. The third day, while we were there, we went to on our way to our rafting trip. We took the bus in this remote area somewhere, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there's this really nice restaurant, gift shop, and then you see this trailer with a bunch of rafts on it. And this is the place where you get your team and you get your guide and you start your raft trip. So we get there and we're walking through the place, and we see some guys walking out, and you see these dudes, all right, in wetsuits, the guides that do these that lead these whitewater rafting excursions, right? And they're in their wetsuits and they're buff, man, and they're dark, and we go walking out, we nod at them, and we say, hey, ¿cómo estás? Hola, and they go, pura vida. Yeah, pura vida, man. Yeah, all right, cool. So we started, and that's what we heard the whole time while we were there, man. Pura vida, and really, that phrase just came to life, man. Pure life, man. That's what it's about. But we get in our raft, and how many have been whitewater rafting? Oh, that's great, a bunch of you. That's excellent. You know how you get in the raft, and you're sitting there, and you go through like a 10-minute orientation. The guy says, all right, guys, when I say, paddle right, that means everybody on the right, paddle forward, and everybody on the left go backwards. And, if I say, get in, get down, that means everybody get off their seats, get in the middle. We're going heading for some rough waters, or, just different things. You go through a little orientation. So he's taking us through this orientation, and then he says, all right, guys, there were 6 guys in the raft, plus the guy. This guy says, all right, when I say high 6, I need you guys to lift up your paddles and yell, Pura Vida! All right, can you guys do that? All right, high 6. Pura Vida! And that's us doing it right there. I had a waterproof camera. I jumped in the water. I sat on my back like this, and I yelled, guys, high 6. And he went, Pura Vida! And I snapped that shot right there. That's the guys in my raft. I tell you, we just had an awesome time. We get on that raft, we get to that first course of rapids, and we're going through it, man. And John, the guy in front of me, this poor guy, he was so scared. And he's, man, I'm going to do this, man, but it's not real comfortable. I'm stepping out of my comfort. I'm going to do this. This poor guy fell in about 6 times, man. I grabbed this guy down, pull on down. I tell you what, pride comes before the fall, because I should tell this story. I didn't say that. I just did services. I was one of 2 guys that never fell out of the raft, all right, to this point. We get through the rapids, right, and the current's moving pretty good. And the current's still moving pretty good, but we're kind of relaxed. We're just letting the current take us a little bit. And these guys, they know the river like the back of their hand. I mean, they know this thing like and they know where every rock is, every dip, just everything, right? So we're just kind of talking and nonchalantly chilling, and the guy taps me with his paddle. He looks at me and he smiles and he goes, watch out. Johnny, and before I even realized what he said, I was boom, right in the water, man. And he was laughing. I came up from under the water, and I came up laughing. I knew exactly what happened. He knew where there was a rock. And he was just, he just turned that boat slightly sideways, just like this, and I can just picture it in hindsight now. And he's looking, he's smiling, and he said, watch out. And before I realized what he said, I was wet, man. And I get up laughing, and I just said, Pura Vida, man. This is it. This is what it's all about. And I loved it. So that was our theme for the rest of our time down there in Costa Rica, Guatemala. We took that theme everywhere we went as a bunch of guys. We hiked. We hiked that volcano. We climbed it. Every time we earned a rough stretch or something, we had to help somebody out or help somebody out. Man, it was at Pura Vida. So I said, man, I'm here. We get to the top. We're at that volcano. We're checking out lava. Man, this is Pura Vida. This is it. And we arrived. And we did something. We took that theme into the Dominican Republic with the students here from CBC. And we just said, you know what? The life of faith is the Pura Vida. The true life of faith, the Christian walk, the Christian faith is a life of Pura Vida. It's a walk of faith that takes risks, that takes challenges for God, and it's just a pure life. And that's what the life is all about. Sometimes our faith looks foolish. Sometimes a step of faith really looks foolish. And it's hard to distinguish between foolishness and faith. I mean, some of the people from the outside, they'll look in at a Christian movement of faith, and they'll say, man, you guys are crazy, you guys are nuts. Some of us, even in the church, man, you guys are probably thinking, you're looking up at me hearing these stories, and you're thinking, man, you are nuts. That's crazy. There's a fine line between faith and foolishness, man, and you crossed it, maybe, But you know what? There's a true story about a guy that died. He went to heaven, and he gets to the gates. St. Peter's is a true story. he gets to the gates, and Peter's there waiting. St. Peter's there waiting at the gates, and he goes, I need to know before I let you in, I need to know one thing. Say, if you've done anything remarkable in your life, anything that just exceeds anything that's super remarkable, he says, oh yeah, man, I gotta tell you this. He says, I walked into a restaurant one time. He says, and there was a bunch of biker dudes in there, and there was a woman sitting there eating, and these biker dudes would just harass her and something. So I couldn't take it anymore, and I walked in the middle of those guys, and I went to the biggest guy, put my finger in his chest, started punching him in the chest, and I said, man, you gotta leave her alone, or you're gonna mess with me, and I pulled the nose ring out of his nose, pushed him down, the guy's all full of tattoos, and then I went outside, kicked his motorcycle over, and a 50 of them all flew over. Peter's going, wow, man, that is remarkable, man. When did you do that? He goes, about 2 minutes ago. Now, that faith is, I don't know, like that probably is foolish. But you know what? Look at the verse in your outline, or that first point in your outline. The first point is, a life of faith, the Pura Vida life says, I will not settle. I will not settle. You remember the story here in the verses in there, the story when the disciples were in the boat. 3 o'clock in the morning. What they were doing fishing at 3 o'clock in the morning, I have no clue. But they were fishing 3 o'clock in the morning, a big storm goes up, and they're scared, right? They are scared. Not only is they're in the middle of the storm, but they see what at first they think is a ghost walking on water. And these guys are just right. Can you imagine being there? 3 o'clock in the morning, can't see anything, no lights. There's a storm brewing up there, they don't know what to do. Peter recognizes that it was Jesus walking on the water. Look what he says. Then Peter called to him, Lord, if it's really you, tell me to come to you by walking on the water. All right, come, Jesus said. So Peter went over the side of the boat and walked on the water towards Jesus. A life of faith says, I will get out of the boat and I will walk on the water. Can you imagine how fearful it may have been? A life of faith is a life of risk and fear. That's what God intended it to be. You realize that? I'm going to go out on a limb here and I'm going to say, you know what? If you are comfortable and if you're not afraid in your walk, in your faith walk, if you're not scared of where God is taking you, you're not living the life, the Pura Vida life that God intended. Because you know what? Jesus always challenged people to get out of the boat. You may be here, maybe you're a visitor and you're just exploring this whole Christianity thing. Maybe this is your first visit, I don't know, maybe you're just thinking, you know what, I've heard about this Christian thing, or this following Jesus type of thing, and you're checking it out. And if you're here and that's you, I want to tell you right now, what you mostly see about Christianity and what you mostly see about church is not, most of the time, it's not really the pure life God has called it. If you're going to take this journey of following Jesus, I want to tell you right now, and that it is a life of exhilarating faith, challenge, and risk that you will never regret. Go into the faith with that mentality, and you are in the faith. And because you know what, and I speak for myself as well, I've become too comfortable. And Jesus was not about being comfortable. He was not about being comfortable. He did not settle. It's a great story in Luke chapter 4, and it's not in your outline there, but you read all of Luke chapter 4, it talks about Jesus, he's healing people, he's feeding people, he's just doing some tremendous things, and he's got a great following. And then he says, you know what, I need to go away. And people are looking for him, his disciples are looking for him. He says, man, Lord, you can't go away. You got a great following, people are coming up from all over, they're asking for you, man, we got something really big here. Man, we can really capitalize on it. If we stay here, man, we can live here, man, we can get wealthy, we can start selling t-shirts and bobblehead dolls. And this is really good. We can stay here and settle. And Jesus says this, look at it. In Luke chapter 4, he says, early the next morning, Jesus went out of the isolated place. The crowd searched everywhere for him, and when they finally found him, they begged him not to leave. But he replied, I must preach the good news of the kingdom of God in other towns too, because that is why I was sent. He wasn't going to settle. Jesus wasn't about settling. And when he looked at the disciples in the boat, he said, guys, you're going to sit there in the comfort. I know you're fear, but you're going to step out of the boat. Peter wasn't able to do it. And Peter did it. Peter did it. He stepped out of the boat. He always calls us to take a leap. And that's the Pura Vida life. He always calls us to take a leap. We are in the Dominican Republic, and we, on the excursion, they just opened up this year. You can either go to the falls on your excursion day and swim in the pool there under the fall, or you can go on a whitewater raft in the DR as well. Well, some of us went to the falls, some of us went to took some of the girls to the falls, and me and Ryan and a few other girls went to the whitewater raft. And they said, when you go whitewater rafting, there's a place where we're going to stop, and there's a 30-foot rock that we can jump off of into the river. And this will be really great. Man, you can't wait to get there. This will be really, really cool. All right, great. Well, once we got rafting, man, we just kind of forgot about the rock because, this was a great rafting time. Man, we were just having a good old time again, falling in and, just going through all this rough stuff. And finally, the guy said, man, we're going to pull over here, so we pull over and other rafts are pulling over too. And I heard someone say, hey, man, that's the rock. That's the 30-foot rock. So we look up and, whoa, that's it. Cool, man. Let's go do it. That's great, man. No shit, sooner I say that, Steve just found this out. Steve Law found this out at the last service. But Laura Law, man, she got out of the boat. And I wasn't even out of my boat yet. And I see her, she's scaling the rock out back. Because she gets up on this thing, she climbs up that rock and just goes, woo! And just jumps. Jumps in, she comes up off of the water, she goes, woo! Whoa, Laura, man, awesome, that's great. And I'm right behind her, and I go up and I scale the rock, I get up there and I go, whoa! And I stop. That is a long way down, man. 30 foot doesn't look too bad when you're on the ground. You get up there and you're looking down at this river, and that's a long way. And I'm thinking, gosh, Laura did it already. Oh, man. So, you know what I did? I jumped and I yelled out, Pura Vida! Jeez, man, right in. Come up. Woo! Let's do it again, man. We all did it. I tell you what, man, that was just a great, great experience. What a leap it was. God asks us to get up on that rock, and He says, take a leap. And you know what? It's not like a leap where you're uncertain if there's any rocks down there. You're uncertain how deep the water is. There's no uncertainty at all. You're scared. There's risk involved. And Jesus realized that because that's where real faith comes from. But you know what? He meets you halfway. He meets you halfway, and He says, it's all right. The Pura Vida life is taking that leap off the rock. That's what it's about. It's not about comfort. He's not about settling. It's about getting up on that rock and saying, God, I'm willing to jump. Because I know you're going to meet me and we're going to do great things together. That's what the life is all about. That's what life is all about. We're so into comfort. We're so, it's easy. I'm reading this book. I was just telling Ryan, I picked up this book, and I'm still halfway through it, but it's called If You Want to Walk on Water, You've Got to Get Out of the Boat. Anybody ever read that? Great book, John Ortberg. He says this, obviously based on this passage we just read. He said, fear and growth go together like macaroni and cheese. It's a package deal. The decision to grow always involves a choice between risk and comfort. This means that to be a follower of Jesus, you must renounce comfort as the ultimate value of your life. And that's sobering news to most of us because we're into comfort, aren't we? We're into comfort. So he goes on. Would you like to guess the name of the best-selling chair in America?
Lazy Boy.
Lazy Boy. That's right. Not Risky Boy. Not Worker Boy. Lazy Boy. We want to immerse ourselves in comfort. We have developed a whole language around this. People say, I want to go home and veg out, right? Make myself as much like a vegetation as humanly possible, preferably in front of a television set. We have a name for people who do this in front of the TV too, don't we? Yeah, couch potatoes. Couch potatoes and they're lazy boys. The 11 disciples could be called boat potatoes. The 11. They didn't mind watching, but they didn't want to actually do anything. Then he gets home here. He says, millions of people in churches these days could be called pew potatoes. They want some of the comfort associated with spirituality, but they don't want the risk and challenge that go along with actually following Jesus. Yet Jesus is still looking for people who will get out of the boat. He is looking for someone who will say, if you'll pardon the expression, I may be small potatoes, but Lord, this spud's for you. A life of faith says, I will not settle. A life of faith, a Pura Vida life, says, I will live open-handedly. I will live open-handedly. I was reading this portion of Ecclesiastes chapter 5. Matter of fact, Christoph gave me a verse in there, and I started reading the passages. Man, how fitting this is. Because, Solomon goes through all of Ecclesiastes, and he says, man, you know what? This life is vanity. This is vanity. You know what? It doesn't mean anything. And he goes on and he says, this wealth is vanity. He says, Ecclesiastes 5:15-17, he says, people who live only for wealth come to an end of their lives as naked and empty-handed as the day they were born. And this, too, is a very serious problem. As people come into this world, so they depart. All their hard work is for nothing. They have been working for the wind. Everything will be swept away throughout their lives. They live under a cloud, frustrated, discouraged, and angry. Man, I've been there. I get there often too. You know people who are just discouraged with life, just angry, and just frustrated because they just feel trapped. Now, I'm not saying this is not saying that everybody's got to sell everything they have and just give it all away to the poor. No, that's not what I'm saying. We got to live open-handedly before God. Say, God, man, we know you blessed me with so much, and I have so much. We take in so much. I'm not just talking wealth. I'm talking our time, the possessions that we have, the things that keep our time, or take away the freedom that we have, that God has given us to step out in faith, because we have too much to take care of. Yeah, it consumes our money, but it consumes our time, it consumes everything that we have. Instead of getting up on that rock, saying, God, I'm going to live open-handedly, man. I'm just going to jump. Pura Vida. Man, this is it. God, I'm going to live open-handedly with everything I have. And say, God, this is the life of faith. I know this is what you want. You know what? It's longing in every one of us to live that kind of life. It really is. God's given us gifts and gifts and things that are just dying to get out. And when we take that lead, it's amazing what God will do, not only for those that we're serving, but for us. When we realize that this pure Vida life is something to really live for. This is the true following Jesus. This is the life of faith. Paul tells Timothy in 1 Timothy, tell those who are rich in this world not to be proud, not to trust in their money, which will soon be gone, but their trust should be in the living God, who richly gives us all we need for our enjoyment. Underline that word enjoyment, because it's really cool. I'm going back to that Ecclesiastes 5, the very next verse of Ecclesiastes 5. I have it up to verse 17 in the outline there, but listen to verse 18 and 19. After he says, all this stuff is bad, all this stuff is vanity, oh man, you know what, this is what he says in verse 18. Even so, I have noticed one thing at least that is good. It is good for people to eat, drink, and enjoy their work under the sun during the short life God has given them, and to accept their lot in life. And it is a good thing to receive wealth from God, and the good health to enjoy it. Man, you know what? God has given us stuff, and we should enjoy it. I tell you what, talk to Carrie Fear about working in the Dominican Republic in that community called El Cajon, one of the poorest communities you'll ever see in this face of this earth. Just incredible what it did in her heart and her life to see that and experience it. It's an incredible, just incredible. Matter of fact, tonight, Carrie just told me this. Tonight, she's going to be at Fernando's with her small group, and she's going to be showing slides and pictures of her trip and what she did. And she told me, she goes, you know what? Invite anybody that wants to come out. Particularly any ladies who are thinking of going to the Dominican Republic. Go to Fernando's tonight at 7 o'clock. She's going to give you a presentation, and her small group is invited anybody who wants to go. So, but you know what? You talk to her about El Cajon in this community. I have a whole ton of paper of statistics here, but you realize, okay, we live in a world of this over 6 billion people. You realize over 3 billion people in this world, over half, are living on $2 a day, less than $2 a day. Does it put perspective of our country and what we're living with? I'm saying it to make us feel guilty. But just, because God has blessed us for stuff for enjoyment, but we need perspective. Man, are we able to get on that rock and say, pure Vida, God, open my hands. I am open-handed here. Man, what I have, God, I want you to use. Take my resources, take my time. I'm going to step out in faith. I know you provide. You'll meet me there. You'll meet me there. And you know what? It's not a matter of how much faith you have. Don't tell me you don't have enough faith, because that doesn't cut it. God, Jesus says, you have this faith the size of a mustard seed. I mean, that's really small seed. If you have that much, you can move a mountain. So it's not the size of your faith that matters. It's the object of your faith. It's God. How big is your God? Do you have a God that you can get up on the side of the rock and you say, you know what, I can take this leap of faith. My God is big. Yeah, my faith is small. My God is big. There's a good example. Show up this picture of this plane. This is a nice jet plane. Anybody have any problems with getting on this plane? It doesn't take a lot of faith. Jump on this plane, that's a pretty nice litter right there. That's a nice ride. I mean, if I were to get on that, I have no problem. That thing, I'd have to take a flight to, Costa Rica and that thing. I'd get on that thing in a heartbeat. That'd be no problem. There's not a lot of faith that you need to get on that plane. But this plane, however, look at this thing. I mean, I think they use car parts to it. They look like car doors on the side of it. I tell you what, no amount of faith in the world is going to get me in that thing. Hey man, we're going to take this. Hey Vito, you guys see Dave Dan's on the phone. Man, you want to go to Costa Rica, man? We're going to fly to Costa Rica and check out. Man, yeah, I'm all over, man. Here's a picture of the plane we're going to take down. Dang, that's sorry. Ain't gonna do it, man. I don't have that much faith. Because you know what? No amount of faith is gonna get that thing up in the air. Because it's the object. How big is your God? That's what I want to ask. How big is your God? And we know we've taken in a lot. I got one more point left. We've just taken in a lot of information here. And you know what? After I studied and went through these points, I take a break. I say, God, man, you know what? I am not fully there yet. And God, I still need to take off, to jump off some rocks here, just to take off a rock and take a leap of faith. Because I don't do it enough in my life with my family. Just take that leap of faith and say, man, I'm going to give it all to you. And you know what? In each one of us, we're thirsty for that life. Whether you're a Christian here today or you're just investigating this Christian life, there's something in us that's saying, you know what? A true follower of Jesus, man, I long to be. I'm thirsty for it. And when we jump and when Jesus says come, he comes and meets us. And I want to take this time, I'm going to invite the band up at this point, and we're going to sing a song before I get to my last point. I'm going to invite the band up, and we're going to sing, and we're going to pray. God, for these first 2 points, I will not settle. I will not live comfortably. I want you to challenge me, because God has challenges in our lives every day. And we have a choice whether we're going to settle or we're going to jump. And we have open hands. I want to pray that God open my hands up and show me what I can do without so I can do for you what you want done. Jesus, come and meet me where I'm at. I am thirsty for the life for the pure Vida, for the true life. Would you pray with me? Dear God, I pray right now that you work in every one of our hearts and every one of our lives, Father, to live this life, to make the decision today to live a life that says Pura Vida, the life of faith following Christ, taking risk, challenge, and change. And taking it and saying, God, I know you are going to meet me there. So we ask you, Jesus, come as we take this jump. Come, join me. Meet me where I am, because I'm thirsty for this life. I pray every heart here, Father, and I don't know how it applies to each individual person. You know, your spirit knows, Father. I just pray that you use your spirit as we sing the songs of prayer to you. We give our lives over to you, Father, as we thirst for you, thirst for that life that you offer. You can all be seated. Man, what a great prayer. Nothing but your will for me. I am only free to you. You know, that's a scriptural truth. It's a scriptural truth. We live the life, the purity of the life that God intended us to live. I will be stretched. We live the life of faith. I will be stretched. One of the greatest, my favorite story in the scripture. And you've heard me share just a ton of times the feeding of the 5,000. And you know what? It wasn't really 5,000. It says 5,000 men specifically. Theologians say that actually it was probably the wives, women, and children that were there. There was probably 15,000 to 20,000 people there on that hill. I love telling that story because Jesus spends all his life up to that point just healing people and serving people and just winning them by his service and his actual service. And he walks up the hill, turns around, and there's 15,000 to 20,000 people following him because of what he did. Man, what a great story in there. What a great example that is. Look at what he says in Luke chapter 9. But the crowds found out where he was going, and they followed him, and he welcomed them, teaching them about the kingdom of God and curing those who were ill. Late in the afternoon, the 12 disciples came to him and said, this is what the disciples said to Jesus, ready? Send the crowds away to the nearby villages and farms so they can find food and lodging for the night. There's nothing to eat here in the deserted place, but Jesus says, you feed them. You feed them. He's telling them, get up on the rock, guys. How much faith do you have? Who is your God? Take the lead. 15,000, 20,000 people, you have enough lunch for maybe just us. And you want to send these people away? Where's your faith? Are you going to jump? Where's your faith? Where is the faith that Jesus is telling them? I tell you, there's just a ton of lessons, a ton of stories in that one passage. There's two of them that I just want to bring out to you that spoke to my heart as I was reading it again. That first lesson is that Jesus had the favor of the people. Jesus had the favor of the people. Look at this. They were looking. The crowds found out where he was going. They followed him. They were looking for him. There were 15,000 to 20,000 people in Jerusalem looking for Jesus. He had a following. He had their favor. You know, in Acts chapter 2, it talks about the beginning of the church. And it says, you know, they followed the apostles' doctrine, and they broke bread, and they shared everything they had. There's a phrase in there that we miss out on. And it said they had the favor of the people. You know, the church had the favor of the community in that day. How many churches in their community say they have the favor of the people in their community? I don't know how many in our community can say that we, CBC, have the favor of our community. Does the church in general have the favor of the world? That's the way it started out. But you know what? We're ridiculed. Why? I don't know. What are we doing? Let's reevaluate. Does the world, as a community, look at us with favor? Jesus had favor with the people. Isn't that what we want? People are searching. You know what? People are looking for Jesus today. They're searching. They're seeking. They're spiritually yearning for him. And he has their favor. Do we have the favor? We have the riches. We have the gold. We have the prize. Do we come with favor? We have the favor of the people. The second lesson here is that, and you've heard this over and over again, and the reason why I put it in is because it continues to speak to me, and I keep learning this lesson over and over again, is that he was teaching the disciples it's not about them. It wasn't about them. Listen to what he says. I mean, I can see Jesus in his little church of 12 guys. I mean, this is a little church, and he's starting. You know, Jesus said, we got all these people, they're all looking for you, all cool, you've done your thing. All right, now it's time to eat. Now let's send all these guys away, and we have enough food for us here. Let's gather together, and this is our time together. And Jesus says, no, you guys don't get it. We don't send people away. No, we don't exist for ourselves, guys. I'm not here just for you. I'm here to teach you that we are here for them. It's not about us, guys. It's never been about us. You know, we look at the world as Christians. I'm guilty of this too, man. I'm preaching to myself here, and I look at the world and I say, you know what's different about the world and Christianity? You know, yeah, they drink, smoke, and swear, and we don't, type of thing. You know what? It has nothing to do with the difference in Christianity. The reason why we tag those things is because those are self-indulgent things. It's not those things that are the sins in themselves. It's because those things are self-indulgent, and it's feeding ourselves. But what we do in terms of Christians, what I did when I became a believer and a follower of Jesus, is that I went from one self-indulgent thing just to another. Saying, all right, now I've come to a different culture, different community, and I still want things my way. And Jesus, man, you don't get it. It's not about you. It's not about, God, color the carpeting, paint on the walls, the music you play. I mean, it's not about any of it. You know what? That is something that we gave up when we decided to follow Jesus. And if the world looks at us, they're saying, you know what? They need to see. The community needs to see that, you know what? Those people live. They sacrifice all that they have, all that they like. I mean, it's not about them. We have died to ourselves. You want to get in favor? You know what Jesus is like? It wasn't about him. Not my will, but yours be done, he prayed. Man, Jesus prayed to God that there was another way to save the world. In the Garden of Gethsemane, and he dripped drops of blood, sweat, drops of blood, saying, God, if there's another way to do it, please, man, now's the time to step in. But not my will. Man, what an example. It's not about us. Jesus was teaching a valuable lesson. No, it's not about me. It's about them. And anything we do to the exception, or the expense of the community, is out of God's line of faith, man. It's out of the Pura Vida walk, man. We need to get up on that rock and to say, Pura Vida, God, I'm going to take a life of faith and step in. You know what? It's not about me. It's about you, God, and what you have, what you died for, because that's what I need to live for, is what you died for. It wasn't about them. Arthur Miller said, it's in each one of us. It's in each one of us, this gift to put out there. Arthur Miller says, 7 days a week faith, this is what he calls 7 days a week faith, is using one's endowed gift to serve the world with excellence. And through that service, love and honor God. And God says, the least, what you've done to the least of my brethren, you've done it to me. You want to serve God? Serve the people. You want to serve God? Get rid of what I like, what I think, you know what? And serve the people, what they like, what they think. Out of my comfort zone, man. You know what? That is a stretch. That's saying I will live a stretched life. We have some kids in the Dominican Republic that were stretched, folks. Man, some of these kids, I tell you what, and they just handled it beautifully. One of the kids in a special education site, man, just threw up all over a room, just made a whole mess, man. And the site leader, missionary, the site leader went to one of our students and said, okay, the cleaning stuff is on that shelf over here if you need some help. I'm in the next room. Man, you know what? We came together that night and talked about stuff like that. We shared together, hey, what can we pray about? Man, this is what I had to do. Man, this is the struggle that I did. Man, it was hard. I didn't know what to do, man. It just left me there. Man, let's pray for you. Man, we're going to get it. I'm going to pray for this person. Hope tomorrow goes better, but you know what? God, we're here to experience that purity of life, whatever it is. And I tell you what, these students came back, changed, hopefully changed for life. Because they said, you know what? I will be stretched. I'm not going to settle. Let's get out of my comfort zone. I'm not going to settle. I'm going to live open-handed, like, man, what resources I have, God, man, thank you for them. I'm going to give what I have. Maybe a little, but I'm going to give what I have because I'm going to step out. I'm going to jump off the rock. And I'm going to be stretched. You know what? I'm not going to live for me. I'm going to live for you. See what happens. And I tell you what, man. Woo! That's Pura Vida. That's Pura Vida life. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about, man. I'm telling you. Walk of faith. That's what it's like. Taking risks. You know what? God brings us to those situations in life every day, and he gives us the choice. We can settle, or we can take that risk, and we can jump in. If we don't take that risk, he'll bring people in our lives that will challenge us to change. He'll bring agents of change in your life to unsettle it. And you can ignore these people, you can get rid of these people, you do whatever you want, but God will continue to bring agents of change in your life to challenge you. And what you going to do? Because it's a leap off the rock. It's a life that's risky, and it's a life that just, I tell you what, that you will never regret. We have an opportunity while we were in the Dominican Republic with these kids. The director, Lowell, came to me and he said, Vito, he says, we've been staying at this base here for 6 years. There's a base they rented where our students stay. There's offices there and a little, a dining hall and that kind of thing. They've been renting this space for 6 years, and he says, we bought some property a few years ago, and we're starting to build on this property. We'd love to have this base built before next spring when you guys bring your students out again and we have other outreach. We really want to get it done. Not sure if we're going to make it. He said, man, can you go back to church, just see if there's any guys, even one or two or whatever, that would be willing to come out for 1 week and just help get us, get us over the hump, and help put this base together so we can get it done by next spring. I said, man, I'll see what I can do. I'm sure there'll be some guys out there that I know. I thought of a few guys right offhand that I can talk to and ask. So I come back and there's a couple of guys, but I'm going to bring it all. I'm going to offer that right here on the table and put it right out there. Guys, we're going to have a meeting here at 12 o'clock, 12:15, when it's after 12 o'clock. When we get out of here, we're going to go into the fellowship hall. I told the other two services, all the guys in the church, whether you think you can go or not, we're going to take 1 week in October. 1 week in October, and we're going to go to the DR. I'm going to ask every guy in the church after the service, if you can, just 10, 15 minutes in the fellowship hall, just tell you what it's about. Even if you can't go, please show up, because there's some guys that would love to go, want to go, not sure if they can afford it. Man, you can be a part of a great trip here for our students that be going down next year. In October as well, that second week in October, 7 through 15, we had planned months ago for a ladies' outreach there. And some of you ladies may remember that it was planned, we were planning to do that. We kind of shelved that, and when I was talking to Lowell in the DR, he said, man, you want to shelve that thing? And he thought again. He says, you know what? Once you get these guys to come down, I'm sure there'll be some ladies maybe that might be interested and say, hey, you know what, I want to go. So I tell you, ladies, if you would like to go down for a week in the Dominican Republic and work in this community where Carrie worked, I'm going to tell you home, the opportunity is open. We're going to open that up again to you, ladies. Get on that rock. Get on that rock and say, God, what will you have me to do? Are you going to meet me here? I'm going to jump. God, I hope you're going to meet me. I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to go for it. Will you do that? Give me a call this week, ladies, if you're interested. And I know, things are planned and stuff that's going on. You can't all go. I realize that. But show up at the meeting if you can, guys, just after this service. There's a challenge. Next year, we're going to open up tons of opportunities. And I want to take a youth group, again, to Guatemala and Dominican Republic. Maybe 2 trips there. I'd like to see young adults, college students, maybe some Dana students. We're going to Costa Rica. We're going to hike the jungles. Maybe a guys trip to Costa Rica as well. Just guys, man. We're going to put on the backpack, spend some time in the Word, and we're going to go. We're going to give you every opportunity to take that leap with me and experience Pura Vida as we serve other people and give of ourselves and our resources. Man, pray about it. Start saving your pennies now if you need to, whatever you need to do. And if the challenge is out there, it's on the table. And you know what? If you can do it, God's calling you. If you can take that leap, that'd be a great thing. God, again, we thank you for the opportunity to share your word and open up your word. Father, thank you for the challenge that we have, the challenge that I've been given, and I continue to face every day to step out, to jump off the rock. I know you'll meet me there. Thank you for the experience that I've had. And I just pray that I've communicated in a way that brings you honor. Father, I just pray that every one of our hearts here tonight is touched today in a way that honors you again. And Father, wherever that leap of faith is in our life, may we take the courage and the risk to take that leap, to jump in, and live that Pura Vida life, the life of following Jesus, the favor of the world, serving the world, giving up on whatever we have, whatever you've given us to give, using our talents to serve you. Thank you, God, Father. We are thirsty for it. We long for it. We want to give you the praise. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. Thanks for worshiping with us this morning. Guys, hope to see you in fellowship in a couple minutes. God bless. Have a great day.